guys, and welcome to another ASMR video. And today I'm gonna eat some hard candy. Some Werther's Original. These are fantastic. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was the one and only Mr. Chuck Norris. Now, thought I'd talk to you a little bit about him. He was born Carlos Ray Norris, and he joined the United States Air Force and was a air policeman in the army, in the Air Force, in Korea, and became an airman, first class, I think. Anyway, he started doing all sorts of martial arts, and eventually got his nickname Chuck. The first movie he was in was a very small part in a movie called The Wrecking Crew, which is the one that you see in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which, funnily enough, the fighting choreography, was done by Bruce Lee. He's not in it for long, he's only in it for a little bit, where he's like a henchman, and he gets beaten up by, I think it's by Dean Martin. But yeah, that was his first film. He then went on, because we'll skip, the main thing that we'll be talking about. He went on to make other movies. His first fight, he lost to Joe Louis, but he improved and he got better because he was Chuck Norris, and ended up beating Joe Louis later on in time, and he ended up being the world champion. Karate, he was absolutely fantastic at it. And he then also met Bruce Lee, as we know, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So talk about some of his films. He made films. His first one was called Breaker. But then he went on. I can't remember the sort of the order of them, but he did. There was Good Guys Wear Black, A Force of One, The Octagon, all these movies. They was all TV show called Walker, Texas Ranger. Which I absolutely loved. If you've never seen it, please watch it because it's really good. I remember one episode and Chuck's beating these guys up and he punches this guy in the nose and breaks his nose. And the guy goes, "Oh, you've broken my nose." So Chuck goes, "Don't worry." He goes, "I can fix it." Grabs his nose and he pulls it all back into position. Guy's like, "Ah." And then Chuck looks at him and goes, "Actually, I preferred it as it was." And then he punches him in the nose again, and it was just so funny. Absolutely brilliant show. But let's get back to another movie that he was in, which was called Yellow-Faced Tiger, or Slaughter in San Francisco. And what had happened, this is the story anyway, that I always thought was true. Lo Wei directed The Big Boss and Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee in them, and there was meant to be another film, and that next film was meant to be Yellow-Faced Tiger, but instead Bruce Lee got full control as writer, director and producer of The Way of the Dragon, so he made that instead. And so the film didn't get made until after Bruce's death, and Lo Wei had Chuck Norris in that as well. But yeah, that was meant to be the next movie with Bruce Lee, but he did Way of the Dragon instead. But yeah, so he was in that as well. But the thing we really need to talk about is, of course, The Way of the Dragon. As you know, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris were good friends, and Bruce called up Chuck. He said, "I'm making this movie." It's called The Way of the Dragon. He said, "and I want these two martial artists to have a fight at the Colosseum." He said, "and I want you to fight me." Apparently Chuck said, "Well, who wins?" He goes, this is when Chuck had a world karate champion. Bruce Lee said, "Well, I win." He said, "Of course." He said, Chuck went, "So you wanna beat the world champion, eh, Bruce?" And apparently Bruce went, "No, I wanna kill the world champion." But if you've not ever seen this fight, guys, it's possibly the best fight in a kung fu movie, or martial arts movie, sorry, I've ever seen. And they both apparently just said, right, Bruce would say, "I'm going to do this," and then Chuck would say, "Okay, well, I'm going to do this," and they just went back and forth. But you see how good Chuck Norris is. I mean, this is with Bruce Lee, and at the beginning of the fight, Chuck Norris starts kicking Bruce Lee's butt, let's be honest, and you think, wow, this guy's really good, and he is. And he was the real thing. And what's really good is all the respect you see after the fight as well. Almost like two gladiators, and then showing their respect for it. Well, Bruce showing his respect for Chuck Norris. Brilliant film, an absolutely brilliant fight scene. But yeah, sadly, Chuck passed away a couple of days ago. There's also some really funny, like, little jokes about Chuck Norris. You know, about how, like, hard and tough he is. You know, one of my favourites is monsters look under their bed at night to make sure Chuck Norris isn't there. Yeah. And there's also, he was in The Expendables 2, and he meets up with Sylvester Stallone, and he goes Sylvester Stallone says to him, he goes, I hear you was bitten by a king cobra. And Chuck goes, yeah, it was agonising pain for several days, but eventually the cobra died. If you go online, there's loads of them about him, and they're really funny. Chuck Norris can strangle you with a cordless phone. All these things. But I absolutely loved him. He was fantastic. I know his films were great, and as I said, that Walker Texas Ranger was so good. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I think he even, I can't remember, some of you guys might know, you know, like Bruce Lee developed Jeet Kune Do, his own sort of fighting style. I'm sure Chuck Norris did as well. Something like Jun Woo Kang or something. I'm probably completely wrong with the name, but I'm sure he did that. I'm absolutely sure that he did it as well. But yeah, also he was at a WWF thing one night. I can't remember the wrestler, but he kicked this wrestler and knocked him flying as well. It's really funny. But yeah, I mean, he was 86, so not a bad age. You know, and I'm sure he had a lot of fun throughout his life. You know, was an absolutely fantastic man, incredible, very, as I said, when it came to martial arts, he was amazing. And also, he was also a very funny guy as well in real life. You know, very down to earth, very nice. So, yeah, I thought I'd do a little ramble and tribute to the great Chuck Norris. Yeah, so for any of my viewers who watch wearing headphones, okay guys, it's absolutely brilliant to see you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I'm gonna go shopping soon, have a nice walk, get some fresh air, because I didn't go out Sunday. Don't go out Sundays now, but I will be going out today. I will be back with, I've got some more. I got some stuff I went in Iceland. I got some stuff in there. So there's some stuff I'll be doing from there, probably in the next video. Also got more Resident Evil gameplay coming up. So, lots of things coming up, guys. Brilliant to see you all. And I will be back. But in the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful, peaceful